All right, it looks like Wizards of the Coast have just published an update. It's called A Working Conversation About the Open Game License. I can't wait to read this. I've not seen this. I literally just woke up from a nap because I get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. And anyway, I'm going to go read this. Let's see what they've got to say for themselves. Hi, I'm Kyle Brink, the executive producer for D&D. I'm on the team that makes the game we all play. D&D's been a huge part of my life long before I worked at Wizards and will be for a long time after I'm done. My mission and that of the entire D&D team is to help bring everyone the creative joy and lifelong friendship that D&D has given us. These past days and weeks have been incredibly tough for everyone. As players, fans, and stewards of the game, we can't and we won't let things continue like this. I am here today to talk about a path forward. First, though, let me start with an apology. We are sorry we got wrong. This is brilliant. Remember what I talked about the other day? I said they didn't just come out and say, we're sorry. We're sorry. That's what you start with. We're sorry. We were wrong. So that part of this is right, but let's see if they continue with the right tone of language moving forward. Our language and requirements in the draft OGL were disruptive to creators and not in support of our core goals of protecting and cultivating an inclusive play environment and limiting the OGL to TTRPGs. Then we compounded things by being silent for too long. We hurt fans and creators when more frequent and clear communications could have prevented so much of this. Starting now, we're going to do this a better way, more open and transparent with our entire community of creators, with the time to iterate, to get feedback, to improve. If this sounds familiar, it's because it's how we do it for the game itself. So let's do it that way for the OGL too. Oh, you guys screwed up, and now you're trying to. I mean, hey, you're making an apology. That's the first step. But the problem is, can you earn everybody's trust back? We'll listen to you, and then we'll share what we've heard, much like we do in our Unearthed Arcana and 1D&D playtests. This will be a robust conversation before we release any future version of the OGL. Here's what you can expect. On or before Friday, January 20th, we will share new proposed OGL documentation for your review and feedback as much as we do with playtest materials. After you review the proposed OGL, you will be able to fill out a quick survey, much like Unearthed Arcana playtest feedback surveys. It will ask you specific questions about the document and include open form fields to share any other feedback you have. The survey will remain open for at least 2 weeks and will give you advance notice before it closes so that everyone who wants to participate can complete the survey. Then we will compile, analyze, react to, and present back what we hear from you. Finally, you deserve some stability and clarity. We are committed to giving creators both input into and room to prepare for any update to the OGL. Also, there's a ton of stuff that isn't going to be affected by any OGL update. So today, right now, let's lay out all the areas that this conversation won't touch. Any changes to the OGL will have no impact on at least these creative efforts. So here's the problems, though. They keep saying changes to the OGL, changes to the OGL. They are not backing down that they will be changing the OGL. So this is the one area I say I still don't think they're listening to people. They refuse to say we're not going to touch the OGL. This is all about we have to get that OGL changed. Oh my goodness. Any changes to no impact on these creative efforts. It says your video content. Whether you are a commentator, streamer, podcaster, live playcast member, or other video creator on platforms like YouTube and Twitch and TikTok, you have always been covered by the Wizards fan content policy. The OGL doesn't and won't touch any of this. Well, that language needs to be made clear. Your accessories of your owned content. No changes to the OGL will affect your ability to sell minis, novels, apparel, dice, and other items related to your creations, characters, and worlds. Non-published works, for instance, contracted services, sorry. You use the OGL if you want to publish your works that reference 5th edition content through the SRD. That means commissioned work, paid DM service, consulting, and so on aren't affected by the OGL. VTT content. This is a big one because they were being adamant about this in the past. Any updates to the OGL will still allow any content creator to publish content on VTTs and will still allow VTT publishers to use the OGL content on their platform. DM's Guild content. The content you release on DM's Guild is published under a community content agreement with Dungeon Master Guild. This is not changing. Your OGL 1.0A content. Nothing will impact any content you have published under OGL 1.0A that will always be licensed under OGL 1.0A. That's good. Your revenue. There will be no royalty or financial reporting requirements. Your ownership of your content. You will continue to own your content with no license back requirement, which we kind of already talked about, the revenue, the ownership of your content, and them claiming that you're still going to own the OGLA. It says, that's all from me now. You will hear again from us on or before Friday. Subscribe above, and we look forward to the conversation. Kyle Bink, executive producer, Dungeons and Dragons. So they apologized, which is what I said they should do. You remember that video I did yesterday? It was literally yesterday morning. I said, here's what I would do if I was Wizards of the Coast. Now, I went a step further and said, I would fire the CEO, bring on a new CEO, and the new CEO would go forth and make a groveling statement about, we screwed up. Please forgive us, so on and so forth. So here, they've made a statement. They have apologized. However, let's be abundantly clear that they still have shown that their number one goal here is to release a new OGL. They want that new OGL language in place before they do anything else. So even though they're telling you that the OGL 1.0A stuff that you've published is safe, this is going to impact anything you create for them moving forward into the future under D&D 1 D&D, whatever it's called, and the new OGL, which, if it has any restrictive language in there, is not going to be an open game license. It's going to be some sort of a closed merchandising license. So, positive steps that I can see out of this, because again, they made an apology, which is something I didn't anticipate they were going to do. So I have to give them credit where credit is due. I realize that an apology is not going to be enough for most people. It's not enough for me in terms of being willing to produce continual content for them under the OGL. I've already moved away from the OGL with Wizards of the Coast. I will not be doing anything with them in the future. However, this does make them look better. And if they follow through with all of the things that they list here, the new OGL, which they are adamant that they have to have, may end up being a document that is much fairer than was originally proposed. All of that is good. I still do not think that they need a new OGL. They never did. I don't see why they're continuing to push that particular point, other than their legal department is really wanting to lock down all of this stuff that they claim they need to have locked down. So again, this is not a victory. It is maybe it is a victory. It depends on how you look at it, but it is them finally admitting that they messed up to a degree, because there's still this commentary about how we compounded things. Yes, you were silent for too long. He says, our language were disruptive to creators and not in support of our goal goals of protecting and cultivating an inclusive play environment and limiting the OGL to TTRPs. Yeah, okay. Then we compounded things being silent to them. Yep. We hurt fans and creators. Yep. When more frequent and clear communications could have prevented so much of that. Yep. All of this. Starting now, we're going to do this better, more open and transparent. You should have done that from the start. With the time to iterate, get feedback, etc. But they're still putting time limits on everything, because they're saying on or before January 20th, we'll share new proposed documentation for your review and feedback. So they're still pushing time limits on this. They want this out as quickly as possible because they have deadlines for products and projects that they have to get this new language pushed out for before they're willing to unleash all this stuff. So there's still an ulterior motive here, which is get the new OGL language accepted. That is their number one goal. This is a warning in my mind for those of you out there who would want to consider working with them in the future, that it should paint a pretty good picture that they're still going to be putting things in this new OGL that are far more restrictive than what was in the original OGL 1 and 1.0A. Now, we don't know what it's going to be, and they are committing themselves to a public editing process or a public feedback process at the very least, which is a good thing. But it does remain to be seen what that language is going to look like, because it's going to need to include some language in there about things being irrevocable and permanent, because people are going to want to know that whatever they do, if they're going to put a product into this new OGL, that whatever terms they agree to are there forever. Not something that could be changed 10 years down the road, 7 years down the road, 20 years down the road. They're going to want to know that what they're publishing is something that is permanent and irrevocable. So I think that whatever draft they propose is going to have that language in it. And if they can actually adhere to these points down here, because they did walk this back a little bit, because now they're talking about how they're no longer going to worry about, the pantomime and TikTokers and everything else. You're no longer going to have to worry about your minis and your novels and your apparels and other items. Other items needs to be video games and everything else, because it's not just accessory. Because I don't see anything in here about TV shows, video games. Again, this is the stuff that I'm already seeing. I don't see any provisions in here. And I worry about that because I have a book series, I have a point-and-click adventure game on top of the tabletop with our world, and then who knows, that could spin out and become a comic book series. It could become a Netflix show. It could become, and I need to know, like, as a creator, that you, Wizards of the Coast, are not going to try to claim any of the revenue from any of those things, because they're mine, not yours. Not yours at all. So again, these are all positive steps forward. I don't know that I would, call this a win, but it is a type of win. So again, I got to give them credit for making an apology, but now let's see whether or not they can actually earn. Here's the most important thing. Can they earn the trust of the community back with actions, not words? Those are my thoughts. Like, subscribe, hit that bell icon if you too agree with this. Let's talk about it in the comments below. Please support if you can. Drop a super chat on this video. Join as a member. Hit up our Patreon page if you want to learn more about our product. Don't forget our Discord channel, and I'll see everybody in the next video. Until then, peace.